Alright, so I'm not on TikTok a lot personally. I try to stay off of social media as much as possible, unless I'm posting or doing research for another video. But recently, I've been seeing this trend, or whatever you want to call it, floating around called the Gen Z stare. And I wanted to look into it because, I've been seeing it everywhere from YouTube channels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, all the types of reels on all the social medias. Now, the most basic definition I've seen is when you just blankly stare at someone while they're trying to talk to you. Like the lights are on, but no one's home. Another version describes it as when a Gen Z kid, usually working customer service or retail, gets hit with such an insane question or demand that the only response is the empty stare of disbelief, basically. Like the brain is rebooting or like a rebranded side eye. Now, I'm not gonna lie, from the examples I've seen, it don't seem that bad, but of course, it's usually from the perspective of somebody recounting their story, their experience. And they're usually not Gen Z, they're millennial or Gen X or whatever. So take it all with a grain of salt. But I'll admit it, I've given plenty of people the Gen Z stare, at least I think I have, mainly due to just me being awkward and just not having a lot of experience talking to other generations and just those mundane adult conversations I guess you have. I barely talked to adults or anyone that wasn't my age growing up, and I always had small groups of friends and never really branched out from them. So because of that, I didn't get that experience, I guess you could call it, of talking to people of different age groups, especially adults. I couldn't relate to adults, and I found them quite boring at the time. And a lot of the time, they were saying some wild, ignorant, or just flat out racist shit. Now, of course, that has to do with the types of adults I grew up around. And if it wasn't something outrageous, it was just boring small talk or endless complaining. And as a 13-year-old boy who only gave a shit about Pokemon girls and playing my video games with my friends, I couldn't care less. And real quick, just holy shit, you older people love to complain. Not all of you, but a lot of you. And I get it. Life sucks. I'm an adult now and I'm slowly starting to realize that. But talking to them feels like they're trying to convince me to opt out of life because they didn't have the guts and they regret the way their life turned out. I'm sorry your dreams died and you're in a loveless marriage and she's cheating on you and all the other cliche shit, but you're not the only one going through it. I'm not going through that shit right now currently, but other people are. And again, I'm sorry, not really, but like, would it kill you to be positive once in a while? Shit, if you tried to enjoy the little things in life, just maybe your kid would come visit you miserable shits. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh. Not every older person is depressing, like I said. Some of the best conversations I've had, even as like a teenager or a child growing up, were with people that were older than me from different generations. Some of these people out here, they're like timeless souls. You don't even think about the age difference or whatever. You forget this guy was around and witnessed the Cold War. And probably still has canned beans from back then in the basement just in case shit ever went all Fallout 4 on our asses. Here's the thing. Gen Z isn't off the hook either. Honestly, my own generation can be boring as hell. A lot of us grew up and still live online 24/7, totally disconnected from reality. I know there's online gaming and there's all these different ways we connect, but a lot of us don't actually have meaningful, deep relationships or connections with people online. I've had many conversations with other people from the Gen Z generation that just felt like they were suffocating my brain cells. Or just completely boring. I will say, this generation is also quite boring. It's like everyone expects you to kick off conversations like you're already best friends. Bro, I don't know your family lore. I wasn't there when you and your cousin stole the Declaration of Independence like Nicolas Cage, okay? I'm sorry. We just met on Snapchat Quick Add and you've contributed 5 words total. To be fair, that's a horrible way to meet someone for the first time, at least in my opinion. I think Snapchat's stupid, and by the time you're 18, you shouldn't be really using the app anyway. It's just corny at this point. There's definitely other better social medias to keep in contact with people, or just have their contact, their number, text them. But anyways, I've experienced the Gen Z stare from both sides, whether I was given the stare or it was being given to me. On one hand, Gen Z grew up with social media, gaming, and only talking to people we really wanted to talk to, and about the things we only wanted to talk about or cared about. You didn't like the conversation? Leave Discord call. And if you were really socially anxious and didn't want to be confronted about it, do not disturb or go on idle. Didn't like the person or had an uncomfortable conversation? Unfollow them. It's that easy. No more uncomfortable conversations, no confrontations, none of that. But in the real world, as we get older and become adults, we're forced into these boring or uncomfortable conversations. And honestly, we haven't caught up to how older generations deal with it. We don't have that experience yet, and you can't even blame it on them just being around longer or older. They were social and more spontaneous because they lacked online communication. Back then, you called your friend's house phone or rode your bike to their house to see if they could hang out. Or you'd go to the spots in town where people would hang out and see if you knew anyone there. And if not, you try to meet somebody. I hate to sound like a boomer, especially only being 20, but I'd be lying if I didn't believe that technology and especially social media has wrecked our generation socially. And it's only going to get worse with Gen Alpha. Gen Z is already having kids, which is terrifying because we barely have ourselves figured out, and look at the way millennials have been raising their kids. Like I said, it's only going to get worse. I want to defend Gen Z, I really do, but at the same time, how long can we keep blaming technology or the way we were raised? At some point, we've got to take accountability as we grow up. It's on us to live and actually improve ourselves in our lives. Our parents aren't going to hold our hands through life forever, and your high school buddies will get busy eventually with their own lives and their own relationships, and they're going to move away. It's just life, and that's just how it happens. So take the opportunity to meet new people and find new connections. Practice social interactions, because you probably need it, and I'm really not trying to be mean. It's good advice, I think. But what do you think about the Gen Z stare? Do you agree with it? Do you even think it's happening, and why do you think it's happening? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And as always, stay safe, stay snazzy, and stay blessed.